This page is the front cover of Volume 8 of 64 magazine. The main feature is Mortal Kombat Mythology's Sub-Zero, boasting an exclusive first look at this gory adventure. Looks like they are promising a deep dive into Sub-Zero's icy world. Alongside that, they've got every new N64 game reviewed. So it's a bumper issue. They are previewing FIFA 98, saying it's back and better than ever, just in time for the World Cup, naturally. Madden 64 gets a first full review, always a big one for the sports fans. San Francisco Rush is hyped as the maddest racing game ever, which sounds like classic arcade thrills. And finally, a look at Automobili Lamborghini, asking if it's a dream racer or an Italian job intriguing. Visually, there's a cool blue icy dragon graphic, screenshots of Automobili Lamborghini, and of course the classic N64 console and controllers to remind you what it's all about. Looks like a packed issue for N64 enthusiasts. This page is largely dominated by an advert for Automobili Lamborghini on the Nintendo 64. It's pushing the excess speed and pure action, promising no police and no cameras, just driving thrills. They're boasting 4 players, 8 supercars, 7 tracks and 5 racing modes, positioning it as the ultimate racer on the fastest, most powerful games console on Earth. The right side of the page promotes subscriptions to 64 magazine with a save £37 offer. For £70 you get 12 issues, a free solutions book, and a Nintendo game. Game choices include cracking titles like Diddy Kong Racing, GoldenEye, Super Mario 64, and Mario Kart 64. The solutions books are for Super Mario 64, Lilat Wars, or GoldenEye. It's a decent deal if you're after the mag, a game and a guide all in one go, and they've even put some game screenshots to tempt you further. This page is the contents page for Volume 8 of 64 magazine, giving you a glimpse of what's inside. It kicks off with the usual news section, 64 Showcase, and then the letters page, When I'm 64. For you retro fans, there's Retro Rockets looking back at older games, Gizmos and Gadgets checks out the latest peripherals, and Score Zone is your spot for gameplay tips. Cheat codes are covered in Cheat Central. For the game previews, there's FIFA, Road to World Cup, 98 getting an early look at Mortal Kombat Mythologies, Sub-Zero, checking out Sub-Zero's spin-off. The reviews section, The Games, is packed. You've got Automobili Lamborghini, Clay Fighter 63 1/3, San Francisco Rush, Snowboarding, which will likely be Twisted Edge, Quake and Gasp, which we know as Blastcore over here. There's also reviews for Puyo Puyo Sun 64, John Madden 64, and League 11 Beat 1997. Further down, Extreme G gets a special feature, and for those stuck, there's a GoldenEye solution. Finally, Nindex lists all the games reviewed in past issues for a quick reference. It's a packed issue, covering a good range of games and features. Space World 97 in Japan is highly anticipated, especially for the N64. The show will feature the first public showing of the 64DD and a slew of new games. Nintendo is showcasing Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Banjo-Kazooie, F-Zero X, Yoshi's Story, and Pokémon. Konami will be present with Nagano Winter Olympics 98 and NBA In the Zone 98. Imagineer will showcase Pro Baseball King 2, Quest 64, and SimCity 2000. Other publishers are also participating, with games like Aero Gauge, Virtual Pro Wrestling 64, and Chameleon Twist. SETA will be showing Rev Limit and Wild Choppers, while Hudson Soft presents Dual Heroes. The article also mentions a recent N64 price cut in the UK, which has boosted sales significantly. The N64 is performing well against Sony. This page highlights several upcoming N64 titles. Get Down Tonight. Competition offers custom controllers for answering a question about a 70s detective duo. NFL Quarterback Club 98 is reviewed despite not being released, frustrating Gridiron fans. Bomberman 64's English version is delayed. The Japanese version is recommended as a possible purchase. Konami's Quest, an upcoming RPG, is hyped. News Nugget mentions FIFA, Road to World Cup 98's improved resolution, along with F-Zero X and Pilotwings 64 characters. We Crave Robotron discusses Robotron X, developed by Player One and seemingly superior to the PlayStation version. The US release is expected in December and supports dual joypad controls. Finally, a stupid quote of the month features a harsh review of GoldenEye. An advertisement for Roche Communications, selling large-screen projectors, is also included. This page showcases a Logic 3 competition, where 10 lucky readers can win a Trident Pro Pad and memory card by answering 3 Logic-based questions. It's all very festive, timed for the after-Christmas period. There's also a latest release date section covering the UK, Japan and USA. Looking at the UK, we've got titles like Diddy Kong Racing, Lamborghini 64, and Duke Nukem 64 coming in December. Japan's list is massive, including Yoshi's Story and a load of titles I've never even heard of, while the US also has Diddy Kong Racing and games like Mystical Ninja 64. There's a striking image promoting Extreme G, with the tagline, "Acceleration so fast it hurts, so why do it?" which is a bit dramatic in it. We see Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat, and another character, possibly from a different fighting game, although I can't quite place him. The competition questions themselves are classic logic puzzles, testing your brain power. The next page begins with a showcase section titled Mystic Mag, peering into a plastic cup of coffee granules to predict what 1998 holds for Nintendo. Under Lizard Thing, it discusses Midway's plans to publish Crystal Dynamics Gex 2 on the N64, noting the humor and spoofs of films and TV shows, hinting at a release sometime next year. Stereo, Aereo, highlights a modified RF lead for proper stereo sound on the N64, available from Richland Solutions. Action Ham talks about GT Interactive delivering Duke Nukem action figures to the office, detailing features like a bloody knife and articulating limbs, also mentioning other figures in the range like Battlelord and Pig Cop, and humorously suggesting they'd prefer figures of Candy from Fighting Vipers or Nina from Tekken. The charts section lists the top 10 best-selling N64 games, led by GoldenEye 007, followed by Lilac Wars, Mario Kart 64, Super Mario 64, IS-98, Extreme G F1 Pole Position 64, Shadows of the Empire Multi-Racing Championship, and Wave Race 64. Finally, there's a big advert for Top Gear Rally, proclaiming it as the fastest, most powerful games console on Earth, highlighting 5 tracks, 4 modes, weather effects, multi-camera views, car customization, and calling it the best racing simulation for the N64, according to Nintendo Magazine, all to accompany a screenshot of the game. This page showcases the letters section, and it's chock-a-block with reader opinions and queries. One mum's writing in about her lad wanting a 64DD and more games. After already owning a Sega Mega Drive, bless her, she's trying her best to understand it all. Then there's a game dilemma letter from someone overwhelmed with game choices for Christmas, which is a nice problem to have, isn't it? The star letter praises the mag's reviews and argues for demo carts on the N64, comparing it to the PlayStation. Price is a hot topic, as there are 3 price cut letters discussing the N64 price drops, with readers commenting on the value and Nintendo's pricing strategy against Sony's PlayStation. Someone's asking about getting into game reviewing, wondering about qualifications. Good on them for thinking ahead. There's a funny tale in Strange Bucket Incident about someone dunking their controller in water, and it's still working. These N64 pads are built like tanks, aren't they? Finally, Duke Gets Nuked discusses the Duke Nukem 64 review score, comparing it to GoldenEye and questioning if it's as good as claimed. The page also has a Fire International advert for N64 peripherals, listing memory cards, universal adapters, cables and SCART converters with prices. You can see screenshots from Star Fox 64, or Lilac Wars as it was called here, plus shots of the N64 console and controllers, and a peek at Duke Nukem 64 in action. The next page continues with more letters, kicking off with Anthony Oxlade wanting to know about playing games from different regions on his N64, and if the 64DD will play games from anywhere. Tom Delancey reckons the mag's spot on having 2 opinions in reviews, especially for Duke Nukem, agreeing not everyone's gonna see eye to eye on games. There's a qualified praise letter giving the magazine kudos for giving high scores to good games. Then you've got the man with 2 letters who's not happy with the GoldenEye review score, moaning about reload times and no health bar, reckons Churok. Dinosaur Hunter is better. Ryan Jackson's writing in wondering if the magazine actually reads all the letters sent in, and if they've got the time for it. The memory card losers section is a bit of fun, having a dig at readers who've made silly mistakes in their letters. Over on the right-hand side, there's an advert for F1 Pole Position, offering a free 1/24th scale Barago Formula 1 car when you buy the game. Below that, a big advert for Beaties, listing them as models, hobbies, toys, games, with phone numbers for mail order and a list of store locations all over the UK: Aberdeen, Birmingham, Bristol, Cardiff, Glasgow, Leeds, Leicester, Liverpool, Manchester, Newcastle, Nottingham and loads more. They must have been everywhere back then. Gameplay's full-page advert highlights price, choice, quality, service, for computer games, particularly focusing on the Nintendo 64. They proclaim Britain's lowest prices for the N64 at £93.99, including a pad and RF cable, and offer bundles with popular games like Mario Kart and GoldenEye, ranging from £110 to £137.99. The ad promotes extra savings on accessories, alongside a grid showcasing various N64 games with screenshots, priced around £40 to £50. They also feature pricier imported N64 games. Various joypads are available, including official and third-party options. A small section advertises the Nintendo Virtual Boy with games for £15.99. The advert also includes details on second-hand games, guaranteed for 3 months, emphasizing competitive pricing. A newsflash announces the opening of a club superstore in Leeds on November 29. Order forms and delivery information are provided, including first-class delivery and delayed card charging. The next page in 64 Site magazine offers a look at Mortal Kombat Mythologies, Sub-Zero for the Nintendo 64. It's described as an adventure game, a bit of a sidestep from the usual 2D combat series, trying to bridge the gap to 3D. The preview highlights the storyline, which revolves around Sub-Zero battling against the evil god Shinnok, in a story set before the original Mortal Kombat. We see that Sub-Zero is tasked by his assassin masters to steal the sacred map of elements from a Shaolin temple. The article mentions familiar Mortal Kombat characters like Shang Tsung and Quan Chi being involved, with Quan Chi needing a human warrior to enter a temple guarded by elemental warriors, and Sub-Zero fits the bill. The screenshots showcase gameplay with Sub-Zero facing various enemies and exploring different environments, including what looks like some kind of temple and caverns. It's stated that the game is due out in December. 64 Site previews Mortal Kombat Mythologies, Sub-Zero on the N64, framing it as a side-scrolling beat-em-up in the vein of Double Dragon, but with 3D backgrounds and lighting. Sub-Zero's quest involves finding an amulet, battling Shaolin monks, and navigating traps. The game promises Mortal Kombat's signature gore, violence, and enemy variety, alongside Sub-Zero's ice-based powers and upgradable fighting moves. The game features 8 worlds, ranging from mountains to caverns, filled with supernatural encounters. Graphically, it uses 2D sprites with 3D environments for atmosphere. The preview positions it as a placeholder until Mortal Kombat 4 arrives. Screenshots showcase a rock monster, platforming, combat, inventory, and a classic scorpion fatality. This page previews FIFA Road to World Cup 98 on the Nintendo 64, from Electronic Arts, and due out in December. They reckon it's going to be a much better footy game than FIFA 64, which they hint wasn't up to scratch. Apparently EA has completely overhauled the game, improving the graphics and player animations, saying they're motion captured and much smoother, not like robots with cardboard tubes for legs as they put it. Commentary is back with Motti and Andy Gray, and they've even got Blur's Song 2 in the game. Screenshots show off player editing, international team selection, in-game action, and a table from the Road to World Cup 98 qualifying mode. They reckon it's twice the size of FIFA 64, and wonder if it'll be better than International Superstar Soccer 64. San Francisco Rush, an upcoming GT interactive title based on the Atari arcade game, is previewed. The game features racing on 6 San Francisco tracks, offering 24 variations with mirror and reverse modes, including famous landmarks. Unique gameplay includes destructible cars, with damage resulting from collisions and clipping objects. Hidden keys unlock secret vehicles, and the game boasts numerous cheats. Cars are initially challenging to control, but the handbrake helps. Shortcuts through Chinatown and Lombard Street are available. The music is heavily criticized, but the gameplay is engaging enough to overcome the issue. A full review and guide are promised in the next issue. Screenshots showcase racing action and car selection. An advert for Bomberman 64 is also featured. Upcoming N64 games include Kemco's Twisted Edge Snowboarding, a snowboarding racer with stunt points and comparisons to Wave Race, launching alongside other snowboarding titles. Konami is developing Gasp, Fighters Extreme, a customizable fighting game with 8 fighters, a Virtua Fighter combo system, and destructible environments. Quake 64 from GT Interactive showcases enhanced lighting and horrific monsters, promising a fast-paced 2-player mode. An advertisement promotes Blaze's 2-in-1 Jolt Pack and memory card for the N64, offering Rumble Pack compatibility, built-in memory, and a Switch for £14.99. They also mention their driving wheel and memory cards. In a retrospective feature for 64 Magazine's first anniversary, Retro Rockets revisits launch window titles for the N64. The magazine, originally titled Nintendo 64 Magazine, launched in February 1997, shortly after the console itself. Re-evaluations of the games reveal mixed results. Super Mario 64 remains highly praised, with a slight score decrease from 95% to 94%. Wave Race 64 dropped from 94% to 86%, affected by UK conversion issues. Pilot Wings 64 saw a significant decline from 89% to 79%. J-League Perfect Striker / ISS 64, surprisingly, increased from 91% to 93% and is considered the best football sim. Doom 64 slightly dropped from 81% to 80%. Killer Instinct Gold went from 75% to 70%. Star Wars Shadows of the Empire decreased from 88% to 62%. Cruisin' USA plummeted from 31% to 25%. And Mario Kart 64 fell from 94% to 80% due to its flaws. This excerpt from 64 Magazine's Retro Rockets feature reviews several N64 games across issues 2, 3, and 4. Issue 2 highlights Star Fox 64 as a successful upgrade, Blast Corps for its unique gameplay, and Turok as a graphically impressive but soon-to-be overshadowed title. It also criticizes Mortal Kombat Trilogy, Human GP, and FIFA 64. NBA Hangtime is seen as the only basketball option, while Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey receives praise. Doraemon is dismissed, and The Glory of St. Andrews is condemned. Issue 3 features Andy McDermott's arrival, and reviews War Gods negatively, and Doraemon and The Glory of St. Andrews are mentioned again. Issue 4 reviews Dark Rift, Hexen Eternalsers, and Go! Troublemakers, the latter of which is praised as an enjoyable 2D platformer. Issue 5 of the magazine faced cover art drama, but celebrated being the UK's top-selling N64 mag and broke the news on Diddy Kong Racing. They also included a guide to Lilat Wars, released early due to their coverage. Reviews included a disappointing multi-racing championship, 62%, leading to a dispute with the publisher. GoldenEye, however, received high praise, 96%, as possibly the best game ever. Issue 6 featured Duke Nukem 64 on the cover and welcomed Roy Kimber to the team. They revisited Rare for More on GoldenEye and Diddy Kong Racing. F1 pole position 64 disappointed with a drop to 78%, while League Dynamite Soccer flopped, dropping to 50%. Issue 7 focused on Diddy Kong Racing and GoldenEye deathmatches. They reviewed Ganbare Goemon, 70%, an action RPG with potential, and Tetrisphere, 75%, a good but expensive import. This review of N64 accessories from Gizmos and Gadgets covers several items. The Interact SuperPad 64, at £24.99, features a shorter analog stick and clicky D-pad, earning a 4/5. Another SuperPad 64, at £19.99, offers better ergonomics but cheaper buttons, also receiving 4/5. The Blaze Jolt Pack, a rumble pack/memory card combo for £14.99, offers strong jolts but is a bit noisy, with a 3/5 rating. ActLab's memory cards, 1 MB with bank switching, are cheap but difficult to remove, also scoring 3/5. Interact and ActLab's extension cables, at £9.99 and unknown prices, are reviewed favourably, each with a 4/5. Finally, the Interact Tremor Pack, a battery-powered rumble pack for £9.99, provides strong vibrations, even shaking off a desk, and is valued at 4/5. 64 Magazine's review section features a diverse lineup. Automobili Lamborghini, 40, faces skepticism regarding its quality. Puyo Puyo Sun, 64, 44, is an update to a 2D puzzle game, reviewed to see if the game holds up on N64. John Madden, 64, 46, has a comment comparing John Madden to William Shatner. J-League 11 beat 1997, 50, questions its originality within the J-League genre. Clayfighter 63 1/3, 52, receives a scathing review warning readers away. The magazine includes an awards section, outlining its scoring system, and the ratings, explaining the criteria used for reviews. Box Clever details standard information within reviews, including save options. The $64,000 question, replaced by PAL Performance in UK editions, explores the extent to which games utilize the N64's capabilities, questioning the game's use of the N64's features. Automobili Lamborghini for N64 is a racing game that, despite its odd name, offers a mostly positive experience. The review, rated Nympho, highlights detailed cars, smooth animation, and an excellent 4-player mode as strengths. However, the dull colors and a mixed bag of scenery are drawbacks. The game features 6 Lamborghini cars and tracks to start, with unlocks for faster, better-looking vehicles. It includes arcade, championship, single race, and time trial modes. Pit stops require manual interaction, potentially straining the analog stick. While single-player is fast, 2-player mode suffers from sluggish gameplay. The 4-player mode is surprisingly faster. Other features include color-coded curve warnings, sun effects, and realistic wheel spin effects. Overall, it's a decent entry in a genre with limited N64 options. This page is a review for Automobili Lamborghini on the N64, giving it a solid 80% overall. They reckon the best way to play is with mates in 4-player mode, as that's where the real fun is. The review highlights the multiple camera views you can use while racing, and there are screenshots showing these different perspectives, and some in-game action. They mention the championship mode is where you race across 6 tracks, earning points to win. The verdict says it's a great game, especially if you like racing with your mates, noting it has automatic and manual gearbox options, with manual giving you a slight edge in top speed. The bottom line bit shows the N64 controller layout for the game controls. They also suggest Top Gear Rally as an alternative. The game gets decent ratings, 4 out of 5 and symbols across graphics, audio, gameplay and lasting challenge. There are 6 tracks in total, and the second opinion reinforces the 4-player mode being a highlight, saying it's proper battling for position and a great experience compared to other N64 races. The soundbite sums it up as top 4-player racing action. This page features a review for Puyo Puyo Sun 64, scoring an impressive 87%. They're calling it a top-notch puzzle game, a real gem if you're into brain teasers. It's described as a long-running series, name-dropping older titles like Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine and Kirby's Avalanche, saying Puyo Puyo Sun 64 keeps the core gameplay of arranging colored blobs to make them disappear. The review highlights the tournament mode that can handle up to 16 players, making it a proper party game. Just watch out for spilt drinks. They're keen on the Japanese storytelling, even if it's a bit bonkers with demon girls and quirky characters like Arl. The controls are shown, standard N64 stuff, and they recommend Tetrisphere as an alternative if you fancy something similar. Ratings-wise, it gets 4 out of 5 N symbols for graphics and audio, and a full 5 Ns for gameplay, with lasting challenge at 4 as well. The second opinion really hammers home the addictive nature and party game vibe, with a soundbite summing it up as maddeningly addictive, unbearably happy, and the ultimate party game into the bargain. The screenshots show the colorful, cartoonish style of the game, and they make a point that graphically, it's not pushing the N64 to its limits, maybe even a bit like Mega Drive visuals. Madden 64 for Nintendo 64 is reviewed as a comeback for EA Sports. The game utilizes Controller Pack and Rumble Pack for enhanced features. The review highlights pros like comprehensive gameplay and improved visuals compared to its 32-bit predecessors, particularly in player animations. However, it criticizes the poor sound quality and lack of official NFL team licenses, using only team names. The gameplay is praised for its depth and tactical complexity, encouraging replays and strategic thinking. A headcam view offers a quarterback's perspective. Madden's Keys to Victory offers humorous advice. The game, developed by Tiburon Entertainment, is an import sports title from the USA. Overall, Madden 64 is presented as a promising entry in the series. Madden 64 is praised for its realistic gameplay and immersive experience, capturing the essence of American football culture with its strategic depth. The review commends the game's engine, learning curve, and control scheme, which utilizes both the analog stick and D-pad. The game receives an overall score of 80%, with additional praise from a second opinion calling it damn impressive. The review also includes a blurb for Mischief Makers, a Nintendo 64 title, starring the character Marina Lightyears. The review highlights her eccentric behavior, including grabbing and throwing, alongside her jetpack-like hovering and star-seeking habits. The game promises frantically silly high-speed gameplay across 50 levels, with the tagline, "It's bonkers." Tech specs for the Nintendo 64 emphasize its 64-bit power, 3D environment, and multiplayer capabilities. J-League 11 Beat 1997 for N64 is a quirky Japanese football game with distinctive features. The game features players with large heads and rectangular eyes. Gameplay includes standard modes, is fluid with many moves, but is slower paced. The reviewer highlights unusual sound effects like cartoon noises, reminiscent of Battle of the Planets and Scooby-Doo. The referee is lenient, and the coin toss uses an American coin. The review offers penalty tips and notes, standard N64 controls. Compared to G-League Dynamite Soccer and ISS64, the game receives a 75% overall score. Graphics and gameplay earned 4 out of 5, while audio and lasting challenge got 3. It's considered a fun, offbeat game, though perhaps not ideal for hardcore football fans. Clayfighter 63 1/3 for N64 received a scathing review, earning a score of 63 1/3%. The reviewer declared it the worst game on the system. Developed and published by Interplay, the beat-em-up was available as an import for £69.99. Criticisms included poor character animation, infuriating sound, sluggish controls, bad collision detection, and lack of playability. The game's story, involving Dr. Kiln and a meteor-born mutagen, was deemed embarrassing. The review further mocked the sound effects and the limited moves. The game features a bizarre roster of characters, including Tut Hoppy, Hugin, Bad Mr. Frosty, and Bonker, each with annoying soundbite quotes. The reviewer compares the game unfavorably to the original NES Clayfighter, noting the lack of responsiveness. Clayfighter 63 1/3 for the N64 received a scathing review, scoring a mere 13% overall. The review blasts the game for its unresponsive controls, awful animation, terrible sound, and lack of playability, deeming it possibly the worst game on the system, even of the decade. The reviewer strongly advises against buying it. Alongside the review, an advertisement promotes 64 Solutions, a new N64 tips guide, promising full solutions, cheats, and tips for various games, including Lilat Wars, Super Mario 64, and Turok, Dinosaur Hunter. The guide boasts 132 pages and is priced at £3.95. A preview of the next issue, showcasing graphical comparisons, and a second opinion further condemn Clayfighter, with one comparison likening it unfavorably to a Sega Master System game. This page of 64 Magazine's Cheat Central kicks off with codes for Extreme G, helping you navigate those tricky futuristic bike courses. Next up is GoldenEye 007, with maps and tips for stages like St. Petersburg and the streets, alongside the pad at a glance for control layout. Top Gear Rally also features with track unlock codes and car access cheats. Jebusai. Moving down, Baku Bomberman has a quick recovery tip, and then, somewhat ironically after the pasting it got in the mag, Clayfighter 63 1/3 gets a couple of cheat codes listed, one to fight as Boogerman, and another for a random character select. Mace. The Dark Age is covered with codes for head swaps and pink slippers, which sounds rather bizarre. Puyo Puyo Sun 64 has cheats to mess with your opponent's character, play as Carbuncle or even Satan. Cheeky. Random character select and elephant mode also feature for this quirky puzzler. NFL Quarterback Club 98 has a bunch of cheats, including unlimited downs, speed-up game, turbo players, magnetic hands, slowbacks, giant and tiny players, and even slippery pitch mode for some added chows. Finally, John Madden 64 rounds off the page with a view-ending cheat and a way to unlock a giant team called Tiburon. Plenty of cheat codes to get stuck into this month then. This page focuses on cheat codes for various Nintendo 64 games. San Francisco Rush codes include track alterations and vehicle transformations. FIFA 64 offers goal modifications and infinite ammo. Mortal Kombat Trilogy provides character tweaks, including Mario alterations. Lilat Wars, Star Fox 64, grants infinite lives. Turok, Dinosaur Hunter unlocks all keys and weapons. Multi-Racing Championship allows infinite time and guaranteed wins, while Pilot Wings provides infinite fuel. Shadows of the Empire gives infinite lives and missiles. Super Mario 64 has a general action replay code. Wave Race 64 includes super speed and infinite stunt time cheats. The page also features advertisements for N64 accessories and game sales, with a note that Yoshi's Story is out soon. This page announces a 64 score zone contest, seeking high scores and proof, photo/video, for bragging rights. Games include Mario Kart 64, Lilat Wars, and Duke Nukem 64. The ultimate player each month wins a Trident pad controller and a memory card. Play hard. Encourages specific in-game challenges like timed runs in games like Lilat Wars, GoldenEye, and Diddy Kong Racing. To submit scores, send a photo or video to Paragon House in Bournemouth, specifying PAL or NTSC system. Include a stamped addressed envelope for returns. Tadedu. Advertisements include On the Edge, US/Japanese N64 games, Wild Imports, Import Games, Visions, Game Exchange, and Madeira Games, WAS N64 specialists. This page delves into Acclaim's futuristic racer, Extreme G. It's a playing guide, profiling several bikes you can race. There's Grimace, described as an all-rounder but with a feeble weapon. Apollyon, which is all about speed and looking cool. Neon, which is apparently even better than Roach. And Roach itself, described as the first of the hidden bikes and top scoring. Muga is painted as a bit sluggish but tank-like. Rana is fast but takes time to get going. Jolt is for pure speed runs but weak in battles. Raze is fast but slow to accelerate. Khan is described as the Rothov and good for beginners, and Maim, which has great acceleration and speed but a weak shield. The page also reveals some cheat codes under the heading, Cheats Always Prosper. These are entered at the name entry screen in contest mode, and include invisible bikes by entering stealth, PlayStation mode with ugly mode, wireframe mode using wired and transparent track by entering ghostly. There are further supercodes for the password screen, including Neon Bike with 61GGB5, and the Ultra password 81GGD5, which unlocks everything. Other cheats include Weapons with Arsenal, Billy Ocean mode using Antigrav, Rolling Stones with Roller, Fisheye mode with Fisheye, Unlimited Turbos with Nitroid, Extreme mode by entering Extreme, Skid mode with Banana, and New View with Magnify. It mentions to press Start after entering the codes, and you should hear a musical chord, and to turn them off, just re-enter the name again. This page continues the playing guide for Extreme G, now looking at track tips for the desert track stages. Desert 1 starts with ramps and power-ups, and after the first ramp, there's a sharp left turn to watch out for. The tunnel is a good spot to use Nitro, being nice and straight. After the tunnel, it's all about sharp zigzag turns, requiring a nippy bike for sure. There's another short tunnel before you're back at the start. Desert 2 kicks off with exhaust vents for nitro boosts, so make sure to grab those. A jump follows, then a cavernous section where firing off nitro is advised to get ahead. Look out for a sharp U-turn that drops into a ravine, and after that, a sharp left turn. There's a short tunnel leading to a cool section with metal tubes to ride on the ceiling. If you fancy a faster route, take the left fork, which goes through a skeletal ribcage, and some sharp corners to rejoin the main track. Finally, Desert 3 starts with a ramp that can be avoided if you want. The road splits with a central divider, then becomes intermittent dual carriageway, leading into a double corkscrew. After that, it's blue road until a narrow tunnel. Miss that, and you're off track. If you take the tunnel, you end up on an orange section with a jump over a chasm. This track then winds back to the beginning. The Extreme G City tracks offer diverse challenges. City 1 plunges into a Blade Runner-esque metropolis, featuring switchbacks, tunnels, and streetlights as central dividers. Navigate multiple routes, favoring the left side near the end for a better angle. City 2 demands quick lane changes due to sharp zigzags. Stay left, using yellow and black stripes as guides. Explore multiple routes of similar length, with the top route offering an energy power-up. The track merges, leading to a green smog section and an orange loop. Pienov. City 3 starts narrow, weaving through buildings. Choose your route at the split, orange/yellow or blue/purple. The underpass is simpler, while the upper route includes a corkscrew, ramp, and a gap through burnt-out buses. Watch out for road supports. Extreme G's Mines and Canyons tracks offer varied challenges. Mines and Canyons 1 features lane choices, a chessboard section with obstacles, a jump, and a snaking finish. Mines and Canyons 2 provides a stomach-churning experience with tilting sections, tight corners, and a shortcut ramp. Watch out for stalactites, boulders, and girders. Mines and Canyons 3, the most difficult, lacks guardrails and is filled with lava. Navigate tricky curves, a missed right-hander, and lava caves. Utilize a loop for safety and master-banked corners and left-hand embankments. Expect a Hadean environment, with obstacles, traffic, and a final jump over a volcanic vent before warping back to the start. This page is all about track tips for Extreme G, focusing on the space station levels. Space Station 1 kicks off with embankment walls and a sharp incline, advising players to stick to the flat road initially for a power-up. The track then drops into a Death Star-style trench with meteors, and the Hubble Space Telescope makes an appearance. Space Station 2 takes you through a techno city and a shimmering blue region, emphasizing the crisscrossing routes and potential for T-bone collisions. The advice here is to watch out for wibbling blueness, which sounds a bit psychedelic, followed by wibbling redness, and to use nitro vents in the red zone. Space Station 3 is described as quite something, with green grass, forests, and blue skies, almost like a fairy tale. It's got upside-down sections and flying saucers, leading to a yellow brick road and a fairy tale forest. The track loops upwards and back on itself with parts reminiscent of Event Horizon. Finally, there's a mention of the bonus track, which is apparently a bit of a letdown. It's a clockwise track around a tropical island, mainly good for shooting other riders. They reckon the hard way to unlock it is by winning on the hardest difficulty, but the easy way is to cheat using a password in this very magazine. Cheeky! This page advertises a variety of Nintendo 64 products. The console itself is available for £89.99 with a guarantee. Games like Diddy Kong Racing and GoldenEye 007 are priced around £40, with controller bundles offered. FIFA, Road to World Cup and Mischief Makers are also featured. Other games include Bomberman 64, Top Gear Rally, Lilat Wars, and WCW vs NWO World Tour. Numerous controller options are available, including official pads, shark pads, arcade sticks, and steering wheels. A selection of Nintendo 64 and Super NES games are available for import. Game Boy Pockets are also on sale. Accessories include cables, memory cards, and cleaning kits. The page also offers a second-hand game swap service and an order form. This page is a playing guide for GoldenEye 007 on the Nintendo 64, specifically for the St. Petersburg SIS Part 3, the Streets level. It's presented as part of a larger GoldenEye solution in the magazine. The guide includes a level map pointing out key items and characters. It highlights Agent, Secret Agent, 00 Agent difficulty settings and mission objectives, focusing on contacting Valentin, pursuing Aramov and Natalia, and minimizing civilian casualties. The guide advises to find Valentin in an abandoned building near the start for information. It mentions Valentin might delay Aramov to give the player more time. Weapon and item locations are given, including a grenade launcher in a broken window building near the start, body armor in 2 locations, and rocket launchers at 2 points in the level, guarded by enemies. Gameplay tips include using the tank at the start to deal with mines and roadblocks. It warns of missiles and suggests moving quickly on foot to avoid them, or taking out missile-wielding enemies rapidly from the tank. It also notes civilian NPCs, dressed in red jumpers who might run into the path of the tank. This guide covers the St. Petersburg Military Depot level in GoldenEye 007. Objectives vary by difficulty. On all difficulties, find Trevelyan's train. For 00 Agent, destroy the arms cache guarded by soldiers. For Secret Agent and 00 Agent, disable the computer network in the computer room, defended by soldiers and a drone gun. Obtain the safe key located in the safe house, which contains the safe. Key locations include the arms cache, missile launchers, computer room, and safe house. Be cautious, as enemies are more strategic, often waiting in ambush with dual machine guns. This page is the next part of the GoldenEye 007 playing guide, focusing on Part 5, the St. Petersburg missile train level. It's detailing the objectives for Agent, Secret Agent, and 00 Agent difficulty settings. For all agents, you're finding Trevelyan's train, but for the tougher modes, you're also tasked with destroying brake units in each carriage, rescuing Natalia, finding Yanis's secret base, cracking Boris's password, and escaping to safety. There's a handy train carriage map from start to finish, labeled A through to E, showing key points within the carriages. These points include tips on hiding guards, sniping points amongst crates, Natalia's capture locations, the all-important brake units, the computer, using the laser watch to escape, and Trevelyan's challenge at the end. The screenshots give you a visual guide of what to expect, showing guards, crate cover, tense hostage situations with Trevelyan and Natalia, close-ups of brake units, Natalia using cubicles for cover, Bond using his laser watch to cut through a floor panel, and the final standoff with Trevelyan. It's all about navigating the train, completing those objectives, and getting out in one piece. This guide details the Cuba Part 1, The jungle level from GoldenEye 007. Across all difficulties, the primary objective is to destroy the drone guns. Agent level and above require eliminating Xenia Onatop near a bridge, who is armed with a rocket launcher and machine gun. Secret Agent and 00 Agent levels add the task of blowing up ammo dumps. The toughest difficulty, 00 Agent, involves escorting Natalia to Giannis's base. The level map indicates a path from a plane crash site through the jungle, highlighting key locations like ammo dumps, body armor, and a guard tower with a hidden drone gun. Players are advised to use trees for cover against camouflaged soldiers. Xenia's location near a bridge is also marked. The guide suggests the level will involve typical action elements like shooting and explosions. Keshu. This page is a playing guide focusing on the Giannis Control Center level, which is part 2 of the Cuba section in GoldenEye 007. It details the objectives across different difficulty levels: Agent, Secret Agent, and 00 Agent. For Agent, it's all about protecting Natalia. Secret Agent and 00 Agent add destroying armored mainframes and disabling the GoldenEye satellite to the tasks. There are tips for dealing with Boris in the computer room, suggesting he might lead you to body armor if you don't shoot him immediately. Natalia is mentioned as being at the controls, with a humorous jab at Mi-6's apparent lack of proper computer training for her. The guide highlights that you will need to protect Natalia whilst she hacks the computer, as it will trigger alarms and bring in enemies. A level map is included, showing the layout and highlighting the location of body armor on the second floor, noting it's behind a concealed entrance. Finally, it mentions Trevelyan will appear in a lift at the end of the level, in a typical Bond villain reveal. This page continues the GoldenEye guide, now onto Cuba Part 3 Subterranean Caverns. We're looking at mission objectives for Secret Agent and 0 Agent difficulty. For both of those, you need to destroy the inlet pump controls, outlet pump controls, and the master control console. On top of that, there's the classic minimize scientist casualties objective. The guide points out for the inlet pumps, just blast those 4 computers on the lower level of the first catwalk complex. No messing about with passwords this time. For contacting Jack Wade, you'll want to grab the radio, which isn't much to look at. Apparently budget cuts hit the comms gear hard. They suggest using the radio in between neutralizing guards. Those scientists, they are a pain, aren't they? Apparently you can't shoot them properly, but a bullet in the leg should slow them down if they're being too annoying. Jackass. There are metal lockers blocking a secret passage, which you can just shoot to bits. And code card A is an easy one, just shoot the guard to get it. Code card C is from one of the guards in the outlet pump room, so take them all out and have a search. And watch out for those RCP-90 armed guards, one's lurking near the airlock in the master control room. You can apparently shoot him through the glass rather than going in to get him. Handy tip that. In Antenna Cradle, you must destroy a satellite control console within a time limit, battling guards and drone guns. The main objective is to eliminate Trevelyan. Chase him around the antenna, shooting until he falls. Utilize body armor found in the sheds. After Trevelyan's taunt, pursue him down a hole for a final confrontation. Encounter Mr. White and his forces near the main antenna array. Use a machine gun and strategic vantage points to your advantage. Be wary of 2 drone guns in Trevelyan's shed. Shoot the control console. It's not bulletproof. Body armor is crucial. Proceed with caution to collect any armor found on the arms of the antenna array. The guide emphasizes a long drop and warns against looking down. Finally, eliminate Trevelyan, triggering Natalia's helicopter arrival and post-mission debrief. Stick around to the very end of the credits. There might be a hint for Tomorrow Never Dies. This guide focuses on the Teotihuacan Aztec complex level in GoldenEye 64, detailing how to complete the reprogram shuttle guidance and launch shuttle objectives on Agent, Secret Agent, and 00 Agent difficulties. The primary objective is to reprogram the Moonraker shuttle's NAV computer using a DAT tape obtained from Q. The player must secure the DAT tape from a heavily guarded control center, likely with the aid of an old friend possessing a required keycard. Afterward, the DAT tape is used on a mainframe in the shuttle launch bay. The guide stresses the need to quickly reopen the exhaust bay after activating the computer. It warns of the danger of the exhaust bay and advises destruction of a console and escape via a grill, avoiding drone guns and guards. The guide also hints at sniping opportunities and a secret passage. Players can use an R-33 rifle, utilizing sniping from grill areas. 2 routes are provided, with Route B being easier, but including the potential encounter with Jaws later on. The guide also includes screenshots and a level map to help navigate. Jali. This page of 64 magazine continues the GoldenEye 007 playing guide, this time focusing on the El Sagira Egyptian temple level. It outlines the objectives for Agent, Secret Agent, and 00 Agent difficulties, which are to recover the Golden Gun and defeat Baron Samedi. The guide talks about dealing with guards, Baron Samedi's laser attacks, drone guns, and a concealed entrance. It highlights a tricky part called Scaramanga's Shrine, which sounds like a puzzle involving navigating a room with specific tiles and drone gun threats. There's mention of the Golden Gun itself, describing it as Scaramanga's deadly weapon, and instructions on how to obtain it after triggering a casing on a podium. The guide also talks about encountering Baron Samedi 3 times, noting that he vanishes after the first 2 fights, leaving only a laugh, a proper scary bloke by all accounts. Finally, there's a section titled, It's All Over, which mentions that after completing this level on 00 Agent, a 007 option appears. This allows you to adjust the strength, speed, and accuracy of enemies. It even mentions a Taser Boy secret and the fabled all weapons cheat, which lets you use every gun in the game, including the tank gun. They suggest also getting the all ammo cheat to go with it. This page seems to be a bit of a mixed bag. We've got a comic strip called Here's Toby, taking up a fair bit of space, looks like he's playing a game, zombies are mentioned, and there's some humorous dialogue. Then there's a big advert for Computer Exchange, shouting about vacancies, and asking for CVS to be sent in. They're after staff for various roles like corporate support, personnel compliance, trainee positions, mail order sales, and management positions. It's all jobs in the video game retail business, naturally. Course. Below that, they're bragging about having the largest selection of second-hand games, and taking unwanted games or systems in part exchange, which is a good shout if you're looking to trade in your old gear. They're even open 7 days a week. Right at the bottom there's a new games releases section. For the N64, they've listed Sonic Wings Assault, Yoshi's Island, Reverend Limit, Diddy Kong Racing, Legend of Zelda, Space Dynamite, Lamborghini Challenge, Mission Impossible, San Francisco Rush, Top Gear Rally, Lamborghini 64, and Duke Nukem 64, and Mace. Prices are mostly call, except for a few at £67.99. Looks like all the latest hitters for the N64 are there. They reckon they sell all the latest releases nationwide at the lowest prices, which is a bold claim. The comic strip seems to tie into the games angle, with zombies and cheap video games being mentioned. It ends with a joke about baseball bats. Bit silly, but it's comics, isn't it? This page advertises subscriptions and back issues of 64 magazine. Subscriptions offer early delivery, savings, and an exclusive newsletter. A mega deal for 12 issues includes a game and strategy guide, with game choices like Diddy Kong Racing, GoldenEye, Super Mario 64, and Mario Kart 64. Strategy guides include Super Mario 64, Lilat Wars, and GoldenEye. Back issues are available, with issue 1 and 3 sold out. Available issues cover games like Banjo-Kazooie, Conker's Quest, GoldenEye, Duke Nukem 64, Diddy Kong Racing, and Mischief Makers. Subscription options are available for the UK, Europe, and the rest of the world, payable by check or credit card. The 64 Nindex, a buyer's guide to N64 games, reviews a range of titles. Standouts include Diddy Kong Racing and Super Mario 64, both scoring 95%, and GoldenEye with a 96%. Duke Nukem 64, Extreme G, and Top Gear Rally also earned high marks. Wave Race 64 and Puyo Puyo Sun 64 also scored well. However, many games were poorly received. Clayfighter 63 1/3 was called the worst N64 game, while Cruisin' USA and The Glory of St. Andrews were heavily criticized. Several sports titles suffered from graphical issues or being dated, and games reliant on Japanese text were unrated due to the target audience. The guide aims to provide ongoing buying advice. Special Reserve Mail Order is advertising discounted Nintendo 64 consoles and games. The N64 console with a controller is priced at £99, with a Firepack bundle including an extra controller and memory card for £132.99. Numerous N64 games are listed at £44.99 each, including popular titles like GoldenEye, Mario Kart 64, and Super Mario 64. Accessories are also available. The ad promotes membership in their big club shops, with locations in various UK towns, offering potential discounts. Annual membership costs £6 and includes free gifts like mini keyring games. The next issue is teased, hinting at a feature on Games from Tokyo, showcasing screenshots from Zelda, Ocarina of Time, F-Zero X, and Yoshi's Story. This page is an advert for Diddy Kong Racing on the Nintendo 64, and it's a bit of a wacky one, I must say. It's got this battered old helmet in the center, like something an adventurer would wear, showing off all the scrapes and bashes it's taken. They've labeled all the damage, things like fence post nail, pterodactyl droppings, and monkey brains bit grim in it. It's all very tongue-in-cheek, to suggest the kind of crazy adventures you'll have in the game. The text below the helmet tells you that Diddy Kong Racing knows no limits, and promises racing on land, sea and air. It mentions needing guts, speed and savvy, whether you're in a plane, car or hovercraft. They're pushing the 4-player action, 8 characters and 30 tracks too, saying it's so good you'll need a rumble pack to feel every crash. Victory is out there, go get it! It shouts. Over on the right, there's a bit that says 64 magazine presents, and free with issue 8, with a big picture of Diddy Kong looking a bit surprised. It's clearly an advert from the magazine itself, promoting the game, and maybe a guide inside. Down at the bottom it boasts about the Nintendo 64 being the fastest, most powerful games console on Earth, which, back in the day, it certainly felt like. And of course it's got the Nintendo 64 and Rareware logos at the bottom, letting you know it's top quality stuff from Rare. This page is the start of a right proper guide to Diddy Kong Racing, see? It's making a bold claim straight away, calling it the best racing game on the N64. Mind you, back then, it was a serious contender, wasn't it? They're not kidding about it being frantic and difficult too. This guide is supposed to be the definitive article if you're stuck. We've got the credits for the folks who put it together. Andy McDermott is the editor, Roy Kimber wrote it, Nick Trent designed it, and Damien Butt was managing editor. It's clearly flagged as Diddy Kong Racing, the ultimate guide. And it was free with issue 8 of 64 magazine, can you believe that? Not to be sold separately, mind. Published by Paragon Publishing Limited in 1997, all the usual details are there. Address in Bournemouth, phone and fax numbers, website and email. Printed and bound in Great Britain, proper job by Cox & Wyman Limited, and down at the bottom the legal blurb about copyright and all that, you know the drill. Big O1 on the right hand side so we know where we are, page 1 of the guide. The next page of this Diddy Kong Racing guide gets right into the nitty-gritty of the game. It's got a section called General Hints, which is all about the characters and their stats, things like top speed and handling. It says they're listed in order of heaviness, which is good to know. Then there's the vehicle controls section, breaking down how to control the car, hovercraft and plane. All the button mappings for acceleration, braking, power-ups and special moves like tighter turns and barrel rolls. They even have a little general subsection within vehicle controls for camera zoom and switching between map and speedo using the C buttons. Finally, there's a bit on power-ups, explaining what all the different colored balloons do. Blue for speed boosts, red for rockets, green for oil slicks, yellow for shields, and rainbow for magnets. Gold balloons are mentioned as race rewards and hidden collectibles. It's a solid overview of the basics to get you started in the game, really. This page continues our look at Diddy Kong Racing and gives us a track guide for Ancient Lake, which is part of the Dino Domain world. It's described as a pretty straightforward track, mostly flat with a few bends, the main hazard being a wandering dinosaur. To enter the race it will cost you 1 balloon, and for the Silver Coin Challenge you'll need to find 6 appy. The guide mentions that the track has a couple of zippers and 3 sets of balloons, both boost and rocket types by the sounds of it. The tip is to use the first zipper across the grass to grab a boost balloon and cut the corner early on. They also suggest using rockets to deal with that dinosaur, either to get it out of your way or squash your opponents. Cheeky! Apparently, grabbing boost balloons from the dino is another option if you're not feeling aggressive. For the Silver Coin Challenge, it says all the coins are easily visible on the track. There's a track map showing the layout, marked with C for coins, B for boost balloons, R for rockets, and K for a key, along with zipper icons and a dinosaur picture. There are also screenshots showing the track in action, giving you a glimpse of the scenery and gameplay. It looks like a pretty basic but fun track to master. This page continues the Diddy Kong Racing track guides, this time focusing on Fossil Canyon in Dino Domain. They are calling it another fairly simple track, reckons there are 3 dinosaurs knocking about, and a big lake for those who aren't paying attention. Entry will set you back 2 balloons, and 7 balloons are needed for the Silver Coin Challenge. The Tour of Track bit mentions 4 zippers and 6 sets of balloons. This track introduces green drop behind balloons apparently, which is a new one. Apparently the dinosaur here isn't blocking the track like in the previous one, it just wanders back and forth. Major points are the zipper before the lake that flings you across the water, cutting a corner, and the high and low routes at the end. They say the high route's quicker thanks to a boost balloon, but the low route is supposedly faster overall and has a rocket if you need one. There's a track map with all the usual symbols: B for boost, C for coin, D for drop behind, R for rocket, and K for key. The legend also shows the zipper, air zipper, and water zipper icons. And there's a couple of screenshots to give you an idea what it looks like in game, dinosaurs and all. Seems like another straightforward but fun track to have a go on. This page carries on with the Diddy Kong Racing track guides. This time it's Jungle Falls, still in Dino Domain. They're saying it'll cost you 3 balloons to get in, and 8 balloons for the Silver Coin Challenge. This one's set in an ancient temple with standing stones and dinosaur skeletons. They're calling it a must for any budding archaeologist racer. In the Tour of Track section they mention there are 4 zippers and 5 groups of balloons. Apparently the yellow shield balloon makes its first appearance here. They point out that to hit the first zipper, you'll need to steer hard left after the first bend, as it's right up against the wall. They're warning you to avoid the dino footprints on the track, as they'll spin you out, and to be careful on the second zipper, to avoid going into the water by the bridge. They reckon the coin challenge is important, especially against other players, and one of the coins is on the edge of the water, so watch out. The 4th zipper is cunningly hidden inside the head of a giant dino skeleton, and silver coins will be around for the challenge. There's the usual track map with the item symbols like boost, coin, rocket and so on, and a couple of screenshots to give you a look at the track in the game, showing off the jungle setting. Sounds like a good bit of fun, another one to get stuck into. This page continues the Diddy Kong Racing track guides in Dino Domain, and this time it's Hot Top Volcano. Entry will cost you 5 balloons, and the Silver Coin Challenge needs 10 balloons to enter. They describe the track as having narrow caves and erupting lava rivers, making it a hazardous flight path. In the Tour of Track section they say this track has only 3 zippers but 7 groups of balloons to compensate. There's a sharp left turn right after the start, followed by narrow tunnels. They mention that in the Coin Challenge race, one of the coins is on a ledge behind a rock outcrop in the middle of the first bend. In the final part of the track, there are 2 zippers in a cave. They explain hitting both zippers gives a speed boost, but you need to be careful as the ceiling drops and the floor rises quickly after the second one. There's a track map with the item key, showing what the symbols mean: B for boost, C for coin, R for rocket, and so on. And as usual, there are screenshots, so you can get a feel for the Hot Top Volcano track in the game. Sounds like another tricky one to master in Diddy Kong Racing. This page is another track guide in Dino Domain for Diddy Kong Racing, this time covering Fire Mountain. It's set in the ancient lake area, and they're telling you the key is just off the track to the right of the first bend. Diddy Kongri. The description says, Fire Mountain is like a rectangular arena with nests high up in each corner, and an egg-making machine in the middle. The Tour of Track bit explains, the aim is to hatch 3 eggs in your nest. You pick up eggs by flying over them, then drop them in your nest using the trigger button. They reckon the best way to play is to shoot into the center, to grab an egg, put it in your nest, and then nick one from someone else's nest. If you've got a rocket, shoot anyone you see, but you can't shoot when you're carrying an egg apparently. Tukra. There's a track map showing Fire Mountain with marked points using RS and RSR, and a key explaining what the item symbols mean: boost, coin, rocket, shield, magnet, and the different types of zippers. And of course, there are screenshots from the game to give you a visual idea of the Fire Mountain arena. This page details the boss race track in Dino Domain for Diddy Kong Racing. It's a perilous track that spirals up a mountain and gets narrower as you go apparently. They're saying you've got to avoid trees, boulders, and the Triceratops boss. The trick is to stay on the track, as there are no zippers this time. Red balloons are used to slow down the dino, and boosts are helpful for catching up. Don't even think about overtaking the boss, as he'll stomp on you. Instead, you're supposed to take a tunnel, marked by bushes with blueberries, to get ahead, and watch out for falling off the edge on those tight turns. For the second lap, they've added toppling columns and rolling boulders as extra hazards, but apparently these don't affect the boss. The advice is to get a super boost at the start, and use rockets if he catches up. Boost whenever you can, and make sure to take the shortcut. The blue balloon just before the tunnel is essential, as the tunnel dips in the middle and slows you down, and there's no zipper in the cave this time either. There's a track map showing the spiral layout with icons for boost, rocket, shield, and magnet power-ups. And as usual, there are a couple of screenshots to give you an idea of what the track looks like in the game. The next page in the magazine showcases the Everfrost Peak track, still within the Snowflake Mountain world of Diddy Kong Racing. This ice-clad track is described as being full of balloons and zippers, with ice bridges and rock outcroppings being the main things to watch out for. The Tour of Track section mentions that whilst there are only 3 air zippers, there are another 6 ground zippers that you can use your plane on if you skim the ground. They also highlight the 7 balloon groups, which include the first appearance of rainbow balloons that give you a magnetic power-up. Apparently you should be able to finish this track a lap ahead of the others. For the Silver Coin Challenge, the guide points out that the last 2 coins are located above and below an ice bridge, so you'll need to grab them over separate laps to avoid losing time. The page includes a track map, detailing the layout and locations of boost, coin, rocket, shield, magnet, zipper, air zipper, and water zipper pickups around the course. This page details the Walrus Cove track in Diddy Kong Racing, which is part of the Snowflake Mountain world. Apparently this track is a bit of a loop-the-loop affair with some tricky icy bends and water hazards waiting to catch you out. They say the loop at the start is easy because of an automatic boost, but you'll want to grab the first zipper for a bit more speed and aim left for the second one. Towards the end, there's a water jump that's easily managed if you stick to the right, and when the track splits, go left to grab the 4th zipper and avoid another water hazard. They also mention silver coins, with the 6th and 7th ones being on the far right near the end, but you've got to be careful of the water there as it can send you backwards if you touch it. Like the last track, there's a map here showing where all the power-ups and items are: boosts, coins, rockets, shields, magnets, and zippers. This page continues with Diddy Kong Racing and takes a look at the Snowball Valley track, still in Snowflake Mountain. This one sounds a bit treacherous with slippery ice tunnels and massive snowballs rolling around, so you've got to watch out you don't get flattened. Apparently, there's a fork in the track right after the start, and they say if you go left you get 5 balloons and if you go right you get 4, though both paths are roughly the same length. The right fork is over some dodgy ice and water that'll slow you down, while the left is safer and gives you a couple of boost balloons. For the Silver Coin Challenge you'll need to do both routes. They also mention only 2 zippers on this track. As with the last track, there's a map of Snowball Valley showing where you can find boosts, coins, rockets and all that, and there's a key to explain what all the letters mean. The screenshots show the kart racing on the snowy track. Looks like you're dodging snowballs and grabbing balloons as you go. Frosty Village, a track in Diddy Kong Racing Snowflake Mountain, features picturesque houses, a viaduct, and large trees. The track offers 3 route options. The straight path provides 6 zippers and 10 balloons, while turning left yields 8 balloons and 8 zippers. The recommended right route offers 8 balloons and 7 zippers, with a corner-cutting advantage. The Silver Coin Challenge requires collecting 4 coins. The first is easily found, the second and third are in the viaduct arches, and the 4th is near the houses at the hill's bottom, requiring a power slide to avoid water. A map details the layout with boost pads, coins, rockets and other items. Screenshots show carts racing through the village, collecting items. Despite its straightforward appearance, expect hidden tricks and shortcuts. Haha. This page focuses on the Icicle Pyramid track from Diddy Kong Racing, situated in Snowflake Mountain. The guide tells you that to find the key you need to immediately bear left off the track from the start in Snowball Valley and drive into a small clearing. Icicle Pyramid itself is a 3-level rectangular arena track packed with rocket, drop behind and shield balloons. The tour of the track suggests the best strategy is to let the computer players battle it out amongst themselves on the lower levels, while you grab a homing rocket and stay clear on the top or middle levels before going down to finish off the survivor. There are track map diagrams for the ground, first and second floors showing the locations of item balloons. A handy key explains what each symbol represents, including boost pads, coins, drop behinds, keys, rockets, shields, magnets, and different types of zippers. The screenshots show the in-game action, with racers battling it out on the icy pyramid. This page in 64 magazine continues our look at Diddy Kong Racing, and stays in Snowflake Mountain, this time focusing on the boss racetrack. It's described as a roller coaster of a track, with bends, tunnels, and steep drops. The guide mentions the boss, a walrus, starts off fast, but you just need to navigate the track without crashing to catch up. They point out the drops give you speed, and grabbing just 1 boost balloon should be enough to beat the cheating walrus and finish the race. For the second tour it's much the same, but there are 3 big snowballs rolling across the track later on, but the advice is just to use the same technique as before. There's a track map showing the layout and item locations marked with letters, and a key explaining what B is for boost, R for rocket, S for shield and so on, just like on the previous page. There are a couple of screenshots showing the race in action, including one with the walrus boss character. This page in 64 magazine continues its Diddy Kong Racing Track guides, this time taking a look at Whale Bay, set in the Sherbet Island world. To race here you'll need 10 balloons, and 17 if you're after the Silver Coin Challenge. The magazine describes Whale Bay as a straightforward track, perfect for hovercraft racing. The Tour of Track section points out it's got 4 zippers and 8 sets of balloons to collect. They suggest grabbing the first 3 blue balloons for a mega boost at the first bend, then aiming for the zipper, and then riding up the whale's back to cut corners. After that, stick to the buoys and use the zippers when you see them. Apparently, hovercraft are faster on land than water, so it's wise to use the sandbanks where you can. The page also has a track map of Whale Bay showing where items are located, and a key explaining what the letters mean: B for boost, C for coin, D for drop behind, and so on, with different zipper types also marked out. There are also screenshots showing the track in action. This 64 magazine guide covers the Diddy Kong Racing Track, Pirate Lagoon, found on Sherbet Island. To unlock the track, 13 balloons are needed, and 20 for the Silver Coin Challenge. Pirate Lagoon is an obstacle course with tight turns and jumps. The guide highlights 4 zippers and 5 balloon sets. Steering is tricky due to the waves. Key strategies include navigating the Castle Cave's sharp left turn and the green rock jump. Avoid the first zipper and the third zipper entirely, using the crescent sandbank for a tighter turn on the first corner. The Silver Coin Race's hardest coin is in the large bay before the Castle Cave. The guide also includes a track map with item locations, boost, coin, etc., and zipper types. This page of 64 magazine features a guide to the Crescent Island track in Diddy Kong Racing, which is set in Sherbet Island. To get onto this track you'll need 11 balloons, and 18 if you're after the Silver Coin Challenge. The track description mentions forks in the road and a pirate galleon, giving it a proper piratey feel. The Tour of Track section gives some good tips, like taking the left fork immediately after the start to grab a zipper, and making sure to hit all the zippers to stay ahead. It also talks about the galleon section, advising to turn hard left into the tunnel and using a ramp if you're too wide. Apparently for the Silver Coin Challenge you need to use this ramp to get one of the coins, and there's another tricky one right after the tunnel. The page also includes a track map, showing where all the coins, boosts, rockets and zippers are located, using a handy key to explain the symbols. You can also see a few screenshots from the game itself, showing the karting action. The next page in 64 magazine takes a look at another Diddy Kong Racing track, this time it's Treasure Caves, still located on Sherbet Island. You'll need 16 balloons to enter this one, or 22 if you're going for the Silver Coin Challenge. The description calls it a flat and fairly circular track within a cave, and mentions the cool moldy green water. The Tour of Track section highlights that it's a simple track, with 4 zippers and 3 groups of balloons, making it a good place to practice the Super Boost technique, which should give you a decent advantage in the races, even the Silver Coin Challenge. There's a track map showing the layout and locations of boosts, coins, rockets and zippers, with a key to explain the icons, plus a couple of screenshots from the game in action. This page of 64 magazine moves on to another Diddy Kong Racing track guide, this time for Darkwater Beach, still on Sherbet Island. To get to the key for this one, you need to take the left fork right at the start of the race on Crescent Island. Apparently, Darkwater Beach is set in a lagoon made up of small islands, perfect for a hovercraft battle. The Tour of Track section mentions it's similar to the Snowflake Mountain battle track, only this time you're racing on water. The guide suggests a slightly sneaky tactic of hanging back and picking off the last racer left standing, taking advantage of the open layout for longer shots. It also warns about mines being hard to spot in the waves. There's a handy key explaining what all the letters on the track map mean. Things like R for rocket, D for drop behind, S for shield and so on. Plus the map itself showing where all the items are dotted around. And of course a few screenshots of the track in action to give you a flavor. Boss race on Sherbet Island in Diddy Kong Racing is a simple, circular track against an octopus boss. The strategy involves using boost balloons and rockets to stay competitive. A key tip is to avoid getting too far ahead early to prevent the boss from using mines. Instead, wait until the last lap to overtake, especially near the finish. A complete cheat involves using Super Turbo at the start, forcing the boss to change his attack pattern. The strategy then shifts to collecting red balloons for 10 shots at the boss, followed by taking the inside line. The track map displays item locations, and screenshots provide visual context. This page in 64 magazine is all about the Boulder Canyon track from Diddy Kong Racing, set in the Dragon Forest world. It details the track specifics like the 20 balloon entry fee and 30 balloons for the Silver Coin Challenge. The description highlights the treacherous nature of the track, mentioning rapids, floating logs, and a castle with a working drawbridge. The Tour of Track section points out that there are 5 zippers and 10 groups of balloons dotted around the course, and crucially, to avoid the logs. It mentions using boost balloons at the start to get ahead in the rapids, and explains how to operate the drawbridge by hitting the bell, a useful trick to slow down your rivals. There's a fork in the track near the end, suggesting taking the left path for coins in a challenge race, and the right being riskier but offering a boost and zipper. Finally, it advises on the last bend to hit the zipper and take a tight turn to avoid slowing down, especially important in a coin challenge when players are close behind. The page also includes a handy key, explaining what the item icons on the track map represent: boost, coin, drop behind, rocket, shield, magnet, key, and different types of zippers. You've also got screenshots showing the track in action and a map layout showing item placements. This article from 64 magazine covers the Diddy Kong Racing track, Greenwood Village, located in the Dragon Forest world. To race, you need 17 balloons. For the Silver Coin Challenge, 24 are required. The circular track features tight corners and hidden routes. The track has 6 ground zippers and 8 balloon clusters. A well in the village square leads to a shortcut with a zipper boost. Another hidden passage is located after a tunnel zipper. Zippers are crucial. Players might need to brake before entering a tunnel. The Silver Coin Challenge involves strategic banana gathering, utilizing the well shortcut, and collecting coins throughout the forest and side tunnels. Green balloons are recommended to slow down competitors. Super boosting off every zipper is advised. The article includes a map showing item locations, boost, coins, etc., and screenshots of the track. The next page in 64 magazine delves into another Diddy Kong Racing track. This time it's Windmill Plains, still located in the Dragon Forest world. Entry to this aerial track will cost you 16 balloons, and to take on the Silver Coin Challenge, you'll need 23. The track is described as having huge windmills and tight tunnels, which makes for some proper tricky flying. The Tour of Track highlights that there are 4 air zippers and 4 ground zippers to be found. A good tip mentioned is to use the ground zippers under the first couple of windmills, then take the air zipper into the tunnel. Once you leave the tunnel, you can grab a green drop-behind balloon and use it as you hit the next air zipper, which is a sneaky tactic to slow down anyone tailing you. Pay. For the Silver Coin Challenge, they point out there's a coin under each windmill and another one by the waterfall about halfway around the track. The map key helpfully marks out all the item locations, like boosts, coins, drop-behind balloons, rockets, shields, magnets, keys, and different types of zippers, air and water. The screenshots give you a good look at the track in action, showing off those windmills and tunnels they were talking about. Much like Greenwood Village featured on the previous page, Windmill Plains in Dragon Forest looks like another cracking challenge. This page in 64 magazine moves on to another Diddy Kong Racing track guide. This time it's Haunted Woods, still within the Dragon Forest world. To get onto this track, you'll need 22 balloons, and for the Silver Coin Challenge, it's 37 balloons. They describe Haunted Woods as a rather twisted track, populated by vaporous ghosts, and featuring a picturesque fountain near the start. The Tour of Track mentions it's not too surprising, with 4 groups of zippers, some in pairs but you only hit one at a time, and 9 groups of balloons to collect. They give a tip to aim for the second zipper after the first one for a bigger boost. The fountain at the start is interesting. You can drive around either side, but for the Silver Coin Challenge you'll need to go around both as there are 3 coins there. They also point out that during the challenge you need to keep left on the bend at the bottom of the map to grab both coins there too. Lay. The map itself shows the layout of the track, and the key explains the icons, so you can see where to find boosts, coins, drop behind items, rockets, shields, magnets, keys, and both regular and water zippers. The screenshots give you a glimpse of the spooky atmosphere and the fountain they mention. Looks like another decent track to master in Diddy Kong Racing. This 64 magazine guide details the Diddy Kong Racing track Smoky Castle, located in Dragon Forest. The key is hidden in Boulder Canyon and requires a specific maneuver. Collect 3 boost balloons near the drawbridge, spin around, activate the bridge, and boost up the ramp as it rises to grab the key. The track features numerous power-ups and ramps, with a moat to avoid. The Tour of Track strategy involves collecting 10 bananas, which necessitates multiple laps due to the 2-banana carry limit. The guide recommends utilizing the less traveled side alleys. To win, use green balloons and mines to sabotage opponents on ramps, repeating the tactic on different ramps. Rockets, the power-up, are advised for further disruption. The provided map details the track's layout and power-up locations, with screenshots showcasing the castle setting and drawbridge. This page details another track in Diddy Kong Racing, still in Dragon Forest. This time it's the boss race. The track description mentions misty caves with hanging plants and stone pillars, plus fireballs to watch out for. The Tour of Track strategy is to fly behind the dragon boss and grab 3 of the 4 boost balloons. They tell you where they all are: windmill, after the small tunnel, in the cave on the right, and in a tree. The advice is to boost past the dragon just before the finish line. The second Tour of Track is similar, but with more fireballs and 1 less boost balloon. It also mentions that some fireballs become permanent later on. There's a map of the track showing the layout and locations of power-ups, with a key to what the letters and symbols on the map mean, like B for boost, M for rocket, and so on. Looks like a good track to master if you want to beat that pesky dragon. This page is still about Diddy Kong Racing, and moves on to the Whizpig race, this time set in the central area world. They're really setting the scene of a nightmare race with thunder, lightning and torrential rain flooding the track. For the Tour of Track strategy, they're saying you'll need to beat Whizpig over 3 laps. Key is to hit every zipper for a boost and avoid the water and grass. There's even a tip for a super turbo boost using the 4th and 5th zippers. Once you've beaten Whizpig the first time, you get the end sequence and credits. But of course that's not the end of the game. To get to Future Fun Land, you need to head to the beach and drive into the sign there. After that initial time, you can just go to where the lighthouse was to get there quicker. And to properly face Whizpig again at the Tay door, you'll need to complete all 4 space tracks twice, once normally and again in silver coin mode, plus all the battle races in the original world. There's a track map here as well, showing where all the boosts, coins, rockets and zippers are located. Looks like there's still plenty to do in Diddy Kong Racing even after you think you've finished it. Space Dust Alley, in Future Fun Land for Diddy Kong Racing, is described as initially tricky, but manageable. The track features 3 air zippers and 7 ground zippers to enhance speed, along with 14 balloon groups. The guide recommends using the air zippers at the start and staying low to avoid spacecraft. 2 silver coins can be collected, 1 per lap. A shortcut exists, dropping from the raised pathway to a zipper leading into a tunnel. The track involves tight turns, dodging obstacles like rocks, archways, and a flying boulder. Silver coins can be found on both high and low routes near the end, requiring players to utilize both paths or cleverly navigate between them. The magazine includes a track map with boost locations, coins and other items, along with screenshots to showcase the track's layout. This page delves into Dark Moon Caverns, another track in Future Fun Land for Diddy Kong Racing. It highlights this course is set in Moon Caverns and features a couple of loop-the-loops. For entry, you'll need 40 balloons and 44 for the silver coin challenge. The guide describes it as fairly straightforward on the first run, mainly about grabbing zippers and boosting, noting there are 4 zippers and 14 balloon groups. It points out areas bombed by spacecraft, but says laser fire is easy enough to dodge if you stick to the left. The loops are described as automatic boost areas, but you can get an extra boost by releasing and quickly repressing the A button just after coming off them. Coin placement is mentioned, particularly 1 coin between craters on a surface section, and 1 right in the middle at the start of each loop that needs precise hitting. There's a key explaining the symbols on the track map showing boosts, coins, drop-behinds, rockets, shields, magnets, keys, standard zippers, air zippers and water zippers. And of course the page features a track map with all these items marked along with a few gameplay screenshots to give you a visual of Dark Moon Caverns. This page is all about the Star City track in Future Fun Land from Diddy Kong Racing. For this one you'll need 42 balloons to enter, or 46 if you're after the silver coin challenge. The magazine reckons this track is packed with steep drops, tight 90-degree corners, and narrow tunnels that will properly test your racing skills. It's described as having 5 zippers to boost you along. The guide mentions Star City is actually the easiest of the 4 space tracks, but you'll still need to use those tight turns and button combos for the corners, especially later on in the race. There's a bit of advice about being careful with the second zipper, which is on a raised section where a tram passes, as it can send you flying off the edge if you're not careful with the boost. However, they say you don't even need to hit it to win, and the coins in the challenge are supposed to be pretty obvious to grab. Worries. There's also a track map provided showing the layout of Star City with marked locations for boosts, coins, drop-behinds, rockets, shields, magnets, keys and zippers, just like the previous page for Dark Moon Caverns. And of course, a couple of screenshots to give you a look at the futuristic cityscape track in action. This page moves on to Spaceport Alpha, still within Future Funland in Diddy Kong Racing. To get into this track, you'll need 41 balloons, or 45 if you fancy the Silver Coin Challenge. It's described as a sci-fi track, a bit of a nod to Death Star trench runs, which sounds right up my street. The magazine reckons there are 4 zippers and 17 balloons scattered around this track. Apparently, you'll be hitting a zipper after some tight bends, needing to get a bit of air to reach it. Then it's about staying high until you hit a tunnel, followed by a steep dive and climb. They also mention another zipper in an open area if you need it, but it's not essential. For the trench section, they suggest sticking to the right to make it easier, although for the Silver Coin Challenge you'll need to go left at least once. There's a coin at the top of the tunnel entrance for the challenge too, so you need to aim high, and make sure you grab the boost in the tunnel for extra speed. There's a screenshot showing the tunnel section, looks pretty cool, and just like the previous page there's a track map, showing the layout with all the item locations marked boosts, coins, rockets, shields, the whole lot using the same key as before. Page 64 of the magazine explores the Tint Challenge track from Diddy Kong Racing's Future Funland. This hazardous course is described as dangerous, featuring rock arches, narrow caves, boulders, energy beams, and hostile alien spacecraft. The article provides a tour of track, offering advice on how to win, primarily by staying ahead of Wizpig. It suggests using a super boost at the start, avoiding obstacles, grabbing specific balloons for boosts, and using items to hinder Wizpig. A track map highlights boost locations, coins, and power-ups. A magic code for smaller characters is also suggested. Finally, it teases Adventure 2, including mirrored tracks and tougher gameplay elements, after defeating Wizpig a second time. This page unveils the magic codes for Diddy Kong Racing, those crafty little secrets you get after seeing the credits roll when you finally beat Wizpig. If you can't be bothered to wait or haven't quite managed to get that far, then here's a handy list. There are codes like Joint Venture for 2-player adventure, and Free-for-All for max power-ups, which are jolly useful. Then there are some more daft ones, like Bodjama making all balloons yellow, or Opposites Attract turning them rainbow. There's even one called Blabbermouth for a horn cheat, and Jukebox to get to the music menu. And finally, it tells you how to unlock Drumstick the Chicken as a playable character. Apparently once you've collected all those Wizpig and Tat amulets, you just need to run over a frog in Talji's area, and then Drumstick will appear on the character select screen. The screenshots show the amulets being collected and then a cart near a frog, presumably to trigger the Drumstick unlock.